Good evening, everyone, and welcome to what promises to be the most important live stream of the decade. This is the Apex Rear Wing Clippity Clop 100. My name is Stairs, and it is my absolute delight to welcome to the commentary box my esteemed colleague in commentary, Matt Dunlop. I beg your pardon. I've gone clicking various things and unfortunately caused lots of things to go wrong already. So it's a great start to what promises to be quite a fun night. So let's try that again. Matt Dunlop, welcome to the broadcast.
Good evening, Stairs. Good evening, everyone watching. I must say, it is nothing short of an honour to be here with you tonight in what is arguably, as you were saying, the most important stream of the decade. Everything that for Apex Rear Wing in our whole history has led up to this point, the Clippity Clop 100. It is our most anticipated race here at Interlagos on what is the 1st of April 2020, and truly a momentous occasion. Mark this one in your planners, mark this one in your diaries. Remember this date when you sit down with your grandkids and they ask, what was the coronavirus like? Because this is the turning point of history.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Matt. Let's have a look now at the end of, in fact, the start of qualifying, as we've just finished the practice session not too long ago, and we've got the horses starting to gather towards the end of what I'm told is called the mounting yard, not the pit lane.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to get very used to the fact that we're racing horses, and you can already tell that the cabin fever that I've been suffering for the past couple of weeks has made me chat an absolutely phenomenal amount of crap before any horses have even made their way onto the racing surface. So this is going to be a fantastic evening. And we've got an ensemble cast of races here with us tonight, don't we, Stairs? We've got all the Apex Rear Wing favourites that you'd love to watch over the years. We've got a few guys from Automobilista Supercars as well. And it's a field of, I believe, about 14 riders that we have tonight.
Absolutely, it's jam-packed. We'll just pause quickly for the fanfare. And there you can see now the horses streaming out onto the racetrack. So leading the field onto the racetrack is Xeris, the defending champion in Apex Rear Wing. I lost count, Matty, on just how many championships he has, but he's got his work cut out for him tonight with some very stiff competition some well-known names in the sim racing world, Matty.
Yeah, absolutely right. Xeris is going to be up against some incredibly well-known names, people like Dane Warren, Colin Warwick, and Kurt Stenberg, to name a few from Automobilista Supercars. But a few more of our favourites. Decent is making a return to the Apex Rear Wing stables, if you will, so it'll be great to see him back out on track. And it's going to be really interesting to see how these drivers, or riders, I should say, fare on these horses, because Xeris, as we know, is an expert. He's a talented driver when it comes to absolutely anything with wheels that you put him in, but now we put him on 4 legs. Can he translate those talents over?
Well, make no mistake, these guys are taking this very, very seriously. There was a lot of work being done in the practice session on setup, making sure they had the right ride height and all of those sorts of things. You don't want to get too much oversteer, although they are all oversteer. If they fall off, then they are understeer. But Xeris is now starting the first lap of this qualifying session for the Clippity Clop 100.
So he's coming through the center chicane at pretty quick pace for a horse, I must say, especially seeing his legs aren't moving. That's phenomenal. He must just be sliding around this place like there's no tomorrow. Going through past turn 3, past the pit lane exit. It's really an iconic track, isn't this, Interlagos? Some of the most famous corners in world motorsport. As he jumps on the anchors coming into turn 4 now. The first timing intermediate won't be too far away. I think he's already hit it, and I must have missed it because he's gone through turn 5 now. So we'll see these timing reference points start to come up pretty soon. There's a 25.720 is the benchmark for the first sector, and that's just about one of the fastest sectors that we've seen, although Dane Warren is quicker so far in the first sector.
Yeah, Dane Warren currently leading the Automobilista Supercars Championship, and decided that our pokey little Clippity Clop 100 was something that he would put his mind to, and you're right, he's setting the timing beacons alight 1.5 seconds faster than Resist, who's currently he's currently at the top of the timesheets, probably because he got out onto the horse track before anyone else did. So it is purple for Dane Warren, but Xeris will be the man that we're about to see come across the line. Purple in the middle sector so far.
So the 1 minute 18.1 as he crosses second intermediate, and he's on the final straight now. He's just got to negotiate through these final rapidly fast kinks as he goes past pit entry. You can see the start-finish line coming up now. You can see it in camera shot. He crosses the line, and it's a 1 minute 43.394, which is the benchmark for this session. So that puts him around about on par with Wayne Rainey in the MotoGP in the 500cc class back in 1992 in the Yamaha YZR 500.
There goes Dane Warren to the top. Sorry to cut across you there, Matty, with a 1:42. So that is immediately putting him ahead of Xeris in the qualifying session. Kurt Stenberg slots in between them in second place, with Nether in fourth, Thomas McMillan in fourth, Brenton Foley in 6th, although he's just been bumped down to 7th by Roadhog. Resist is currently in 8th. Mad Blinkers, also known as Mad Bird, in 9th. Desamage in 10th. And Bagsy in 11th, while Tyrrell is in 12th. So that is 12 of our 14 runners already having set times at the halfway mark in this qualifying session.
So it's a gap of about 6.2 seconds from the front of the field to the back at the moment. But those few guys at the front are relatively close at the moment. Dane Warren and Kurt Stenberg separated by just under a second. And as the session wears on and as the riders get more acquainted with their steeds, I imagine those gaps will be narrowing quite a bit as these lap times get closer and closer, faster and faster.
All right, Matty, we're going to have a little bit of difficulty differentiating all these horses during the course of the night, but let's do our best to try and run through them now so we get a bit of a memory. We've got Dane Warren there on the dark brown steed there, just coming into the final sector. And again, improving on his time, it looks like. Behind him is Kurt Stenberg on the similarly coloured dark brown horse there. So Kurt Stenberg and Dane Warren will be tricky to tell apart. There
looks more like a black horse to me. It's a little bit darker.
Yeah, a bit more of a black beauty, that one. Kurt Stenberg, so beg your pardon on that one. Xeris is in the pit lane at the moment, just coming out. There he is.
The mounting yard, I think you'll find it's called, Stairs.
The mounting yard, beg your pardon. You're going to have to pull me up on that one. He's obviously had some issue with his horse and has had to reset to the stable, and now he's out into the mounting yard again to go for his final run. And there is the horse on the pit lane limiter. I guess the mounting yard trotting limit could be what it could be referred to on the white horse, so that'll differentiate him. Nether is on another of the black horses there. You can see him there, black as the ace of spades, that one. Brenton Foley. Some markings on the rear quarter of his horse and some lighter coloured hooves, or the fur around the hooves. Maddie, I don't know what that is referred to, the fur around the hooves.
I couldn't tell you either, to be honest, but it looks pretty cool.
Yes, I don't know.
Got glowing orange eyes, got some nice markings around the quarters of this steed, and it looks like he's wearing some pretty funky shoes as well, if you ask me. So that one will be sticking out just as much. Roadhog in a very similarly liveried horse.
Yeah, I think they're on the exact same horse, basically. They must come from the same stable. And Resist there on the lighter brown horse as we're looking down on the helicopter shot of Resist coming through to the second sector split, or what would probably be about the 3,500 metre mark for Resist. And he's up on his personal best by 0.2 of a second, which is remarkable. Mad Blinker's there on one of the other white horses. Together with Xeris, former stablemates, those two. They both used to live under the same roof, but not anymore. They've still got a preference for white horses. Josh Bagsy is in the pit lane, starting his horse by the sounds of it. Lots of whinnying or neighing or whatever the term is. Forgive me, viewers, I know absolutely nothing about horses. But that is Bagsy, and then Tyrrell in another one of the dark horses with the light coloured fur around the feet. And John McDonald.
Very demonic looking, if you ask me. It's a nice look. I like it. A nice little bit of variety to the field.
Absolutely. We need variety. Sorry. Yeah, no,
variety.
I tried something there. John McDonald on Black Beauty as well. And Colin Warwick, who's yet to set a time. Looking like this will probably put him somewhere up the top. I haven't seen his first sector split come through, so this must be his outlap. Even though we are seeing a time on the screen there. But the light brown coloured horse for Colin Warwick, he's actually 0.6 down on Dane Warren, so that'll put him around about second place if he maintains the speed through the final part of the lap. Far lap.
It is a very far lap if you're riding a horse. The track's about 4.3 kilometres long. Thankfully, these things are slickety-split speedy, so they can get around here and around about 1 minute 41.605 is the benchmark, as you can see. And Colin Warwick has brought that to a 142.585, just under a second underneath that. Also, keep your eyes out for Thomas McMillan, who was just displaced from third down to fourth. He's riding another one of the white horses, and he is in looking pretty fine form as well, matching the pace being posted by the gentleman in front of him. So he's about 0.4 off Kurt Stenberg in second. So from him down to Resist in 8th position, they're pretty close. They're all within about a second of each other. So there's going to be some very close front of the pack battles. Even if one rider streaks away at the front, we'll have a few of these guys mixing it up. Thomas McMillan, 149.919, so a bit slower that time around. And there's 1 minute to go left in the session. So if any of these riders are looking to get a solid lap in for qualifying, now is the time, says.
Yeah, well, the cream's certainly rising to the top here with our invitees from the Automobilista Supercars Championship occupying the top 3 positions. Xeris has actually just displaced Thomas McMillan in 4th place, though Thomas McMillan is on a personal best this time around. He's up by nearly half a second. So he's looking to jump up into... In fact, Colin Warwick's jumped up into 4th place just in the meantime. So Xeris will be 6th if Thomas can improve on this lap. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter whether it's a horse or a supercar. These guys are quick no matter what they put their hand to.
That's exactly right. And Nether is posting a great time at the moment, 142.187. He's up into 2nd position, as you were saying.
Wow.
And he's improved as well in his first sector. That's a PB. He's down, he's up 1.6 of a second on his personal best time. And also on the general time as well, he's up. So he's currently the fastest rider out on the racing surface as he goes through the first sector.
He knows his horses. In fact, I've got word on the ground from Nether. He says the qualifying needs to be referred to as the barrier draw. So that is a horse racing term, I understand.
Very fair point. That is something we've forgotten all along, so we'll have to be mentioning these riders in terms of barriers. I hear him also scrolling through a list of horse racing terminology. We've got a local yellow flag up at turn 1 as Colin Warwick pulls into the pit lane. I've got a big sheet of paper here with all these things that I'm going to try and shoehorn my way in. Fluctuation, fixed odds, correct weight. I'm going to struggle massively as Dane Warren spins out at turn 1. He's posted his lap. It's a 141.264.
It's quick.
And that'll be his final lap of the session. That's very, very quick. It'll be hard for anyone to beat that. Colin Warwick, the 2nd place rider, is in 2nd. Nether is down quite a bit. He's down 1.1 seconds through the second split. So his lap time is not looking fantastic unless he can somehow claw that huge deficit up down the main straight. I don't see that happening. He's fallen back to fourth as Kurt Stenberg crosses the line with a 141.909 to put himself into second. Nether does not manage a quicker time. He currently sits in fourth. Who have we got sitting behind him on the track? I can't even tell. We've got a local yellow flag for that rider at turn 1. Xeris is in the pit lane. Brenton Foley crosses the line, 1 minute 43.335. He cannot do any better than 7th, and I think that's everyone. Yep. I can't see any other riders out on track at the moment. So for the barrier draw on the inside on the pole position, which I do believe is a term that was originated with horse racing, we've got Dane Warren, 141.264. Kurt Stenberg will start alongside barrier 2, 1 minute 16. Nope, that's not even the right time. 141.909. So very quick lap times from those guys.
And a calm falls over into Lagos as the sound of hooves come to a bit of a stop. And we're going to get set for the race itself. A 12-lap race, and the order determined by the qualifying session with which we have just witnessed. There'll be 2 races tonight. The second of the 2 races will take place after the first race, which is sort of logical. The second race will be a reverse grid based on the results of race number 1. So race 1, kind of a qualifying session in a backwards sort of way for the second race, you could think of it as.
And we'll also have to keep in mind that if you DNF in the first race, that will not grant you a pole position start for the second race. That will still relegate you to the back of the grid.
That's right, and that's to discourage people from DNFing on purpose to get a good start. Wayne Carr saying they are stables, not pits. Very true. Well, I'd say stables instead of garages, but mounting yard is the term that we've been given here. We are doing our very best here, but as you can tell, horses are not our forte, and we don't horse around here in Apex Rear Wing.
No, it's very serious business for both you, Stairsy, myself, and everyone who's out on the mounting yard runway, for lack of a much better term, at the moment, as there is now a 10-minute warm-up session. Riders will be getting a little bit more acquainted with their horses, trying some last-minute setup changes to ride height, horseshoe profile, all that stuff that I'm sure horse people actually know about, and I do not. So we'll see the riders peeling out one more time. A few of them are practicing their starts. The launch is obviously very important. The jump, that's the word I'm looking for, is obviously very important.
Yes, no starter's gun. They won't be used to that, just the lights. So that'll be a bit of a change for these guys. Incidentally, I believe all of these horses are celebrating a birthday in 4 months to come. So what a coincidence that they all have exactly the same birthday.
An incredible coincidence, if you ask me. So you don't hear about that sort of thing very often, do you at all, Stairs? Now, horse racing. Who is the favourite in your eyes, Stairs?
Who's got Winks odds?
Who's got Winks odds? Who's paying $1.02?
It's hard to go past Dane Winks Warren, isn't it? Because he has been absolutely the class of the field through practice and dominated with that pole position in the qualifying session. Sorry, in the barrier draw that we just witnessed.
It's he's actually rotating through the middle part of the track there. He's taken to the grass. I imagine the horse needs a little bit of a feed.
Oh dear.
And he's gone back to the stable. So a little bit of R&R before he goes back out for the rest of the warm-up session. But
two feet on the grass there. In fact, Resist has got himself disqualified somehow. We didn't see what caused that as we're looking at this replay of Dane Warren spinning his horse onto the infield and very lucky not to roll it over there. Could have ended up understeer very easily, quite there. He's now sitting in the middle of the mounting yard, just pondering things.
You don't see disqualifications very often at all, do you?
Not often, so it makes me wonder what has happened there. There'll probably be a little bit of admin intervention in order to rectify that, as we can see that Nether is doing a practice start off the gates, is it? Off the barrier?
The barrier. I think I'm going to call it the barrier. I'm going to scroll through this thesaurus and see if I can find a better word for it. But I reckon you might be on the money there.
Our friend Goofball Antics, who unfortunately isn't racing tonight, will probably be very probably disappointed in our lack of horse racing knowledge here.
So I seem to remember from the past couple of seasons of Apex Rear Wing, every now and then Resist would have an issue, like a technical issue, and I'm wondering if that's the sort of thing that's happening here for him that's preventing him from going out on track at the moment. And giving him that black flag, and hopefully it can be rectified. There's no black flag showing up on... Sorry, there is a black flag showing up on timing now, so that is still there, and hopefully that can be sorted out before the race gets underway. Hopefully he's not a late scratching.
Very good. Got Mad Blinkers there, just eyeing off his competition. Now that they're sitting in the middle of screen, as we see Mad Blinkers trotting his way to the racetrack. Beautiful horse, that one.
Sensational form.
Absolutely.
Interesting to see how Mad Blinkers can do. For a lot of these guys as well, this might be one of the few opportunities they get to share a racetrack with some of these riders from Automobilista supercars. So people like Xerus, who else do we have that's up in the upper echelons usually? You've got Nether, he's going to be starting pretty well from what I can remember. Do you reckon they'll be able to tack onto the back of these Automobilista supercars horses and just sort of follow their lead a little bit, if you will, sit in the box seat, get a good position, and then tail them down the main straight on the way home?
These horses have quite a large draft, so if they can stay somewhere nearby out of the final corner, they might be able to draft their way past. They are draft horses after all, which is not particularly usual for racing. Usually is the thoroughbreds, I understand, that race, but in this case we've got the Clydesdales and all the other types of draft horses that exist.
So in that case, instead of drafting, would you refer to it as camp drafting?
Quite possibly. I wonder if that is part of Mad Blinker's strategy for today.
I wouldn't be shocked at all. I'd pencil that down in my notes and see how he handles that one. So he's out there at the moment, practicing as much as he possibly can, making his way down to the front straight now. And we haven't seen too many times come on the board, actually. It's been 5 minutes, so we're already halfway through the session. It is a warm-up session, of course, so people aren't really setting out that are set lap times at the moment, but it is Colin Warwick with a 1 minute 42.274. He's still putting in a consistently good lap time. Nether, the second fastest rider on track, trailing by 34.506 seconds. So still second place. Not too bad.
Quite a few of them electing to keep their powder dry and staying in the stables. As you said, just the 2 times those coming from Colin Warwick and Nether, and Nether's not really indicative of any sort of real pace, as Colin Warwick is going at quite a fast clip, 0.4 of a second faster on this lap than his best in this warm-up session.
I'm just waiting for another rider to stop on the track and do a practice start. We've got someone in the pit lane. It is Dane Warren, and I'm going to hit the timer and get a 0 to 100 time because I'm very curious now.
See if we can find vision of that. Where are we? There we go.
He may not even get to 100 kilometers an hour in the pit lane if we've got a limiter on.
Yeah, they do have a speed limiter.
80 kilometers an hour?
Forces them to a light canter. 80 kilometers. It's pretty quick for a horse. Or pretty quick for a horse at a canter.
Unbelievably quick for a horse.
Oh my goodness.
Mad Blinker's going through the second sector split now. And we've got Dane Warren taking off, and I've missed that completely. No, that's someone else in the pit lane.
Someone's gone past. I believe that might have been Mad Blinkers. No.
Tyrrell.
Mad Blinkers is on the white horse.
So hard to figure out who is who. I'm just having to cycle through my camera angles.
Yes, well, I think when we call the start, we're just going to have to call them by colour.
We certainly are. And then perhaps my job in the commentary scenario that we have here to be madly cycle through the riders to figure out who is who for commentary purposes. So, wish us the best of luck, all those of you who are watching on at the moment. We've got HB111 in the YouTube comment saying, the ferries are going to be busy with developing hoof profiles as the event goes on. Too much cobalt. Stairs, can you shed any light on that?
All I know about HB111 is that it's a dear friend of ours, one Hans Brunswick. So, g'day Hans, good to see you watching along. Hope you're excited as we are for this momentous occasion in Apex Rear Wing history, the Clippity Clop 100, an idea that germinated in my head about a year ago, and I thought, since we're all stuck inside now, we might as well do it. River Whisper asks, how much horsepower? By definition, 1.
Technically, by definition, yes. 1 horsepower. You'd be absolutely correct there. Although, I'm not exactly sure if horses have 1 horsepower. I'm going to be that idiot who's going to go and Google the amount of horsepower in a horse, and I'll report back to you in a second.
They do have a little bit more power than the ordinary horse. They've got a top speed somewhere north of 200 kilometers per hour, which is, I'm led to believe, fairly quick for a horse.
So, it turns out, it's a common misconception that 1 horsepower is equal to the peak production power of a horse, which is capable of a maximum of around 14.9 horsepower. So there you go. Makes you wonder where they got the figure from in the first place, doesn't it?
What were they measuring? Someone measured the wrong thing, thought that was a horse, turned out it was a dog or something.
Perhaps. Maybe it was pulling the lightest thing they could find. Maybe they just found an empty wooden crate and
they just had a shit-ass horse.
It may have just been a mule in disguise, to be honest.
Yeah. Just the
Hopefully a
worst
few of these riders aren't riding disguised mules. We'll find out for sure.
Or maybe horses have just got 14 times more powerful since they took the measurement.
That's entirely possible as well. We've been working them pretty hard, especially these thoroughbreds. They may even have a little bit more horsepower. So it's really an open-ended question. It's about the length of the piece of string. Wayne Carr says these are super horses with about 270 brake horsepower. And I wouldn't blame him at all because I'm just trying to think back to the comparison with Wayne Rainey on the Yamaha YZR 500. So those bikes would have had about 160. That's a very, very educated guesstimate. Horsepower, 2-stroke engine, 500cc. Those things would have put out a ton. Not very much weight at all. So when you add in the extra weight that these horses are carrying on their on themselves, I'm not sure if we've got any weight ballast that we're applying in this race at all or anything like that. But I'd hazard a guess and say that Wayne Carr is absolutely right there. 270 100%. Horsepower. Let's make that canonical. Let's make that fact now. Scientific fact. That's how much power these horses have.
There should be no dispute.
None at all.
Thoroughbreds, to the point that their legs don't actually move, and yet they are able to go so quickly. So it looks like they're wearing wheelies.
So my scientific explanation for that is that they're running at the exact frames per second that you are watching this stream at. So their legs look like they're not moving at all.
Yep.
It's like when you film a plane propeller and it looks like
exactly the same concept. Yeah.
That's what's happening here.
So it's divisible by 30, which is our frame rate for YouTube. 30 frames per second. And so their legs are always at exactly the same point straight, funnily enough. Straight up and down, always touching the ground whenever the... in fact, all of the horses have exactly the same... They're exactly the same part of their running cycle when the frame is captured.
Must be something to do with the fact they all share the exact same birthday, I think.
Absolutely. Time for the race to begin. Let's pause for the fanfare, Matty. And my goodness, there's a lot of breathing going on this grid.
This is one of the most phenomenal sights I've seen in quite some time in Automobilista.
It's pretty special, isn't it? We're just waiting for the warm-up lap to get underway, where the horses will be warming up their hooves and their shoes. Did I just see a late scratch in the back of shot? Oh my goodness, this is
back on the grid.
Nervous times. I wonder if he got his fuel in. There should be no pit stops in this race. It's a flag-to-flag sprint. And there's a bit of impatience now for them to get off the line. And this is the warm-up lap, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to form up at the end of this lap. And Dane Warren warming his hooves as he is the pole sitter. And he's already in the wall, Matty. He's already in the wall. It's a quick warm-up lap that he has basically flagged his intent already. He will be starting on pole position from Kurt Stenberg in the black horse there. Behind him, Colin Warwick in the lighter coloured Clydesdale. In fourth place, it is Nether, and he will be in the black coloured horse there. Behind him, Xeris, the Apex Rear Wing multiple champion, as Dane Warren spins it around once more. And behind him, Thomas McMillan, who is just running over the tyre tracks of the Dane Warren horse just a little earlier on there. Brenton Foley will be starting out of 7th place ahead of Resist, who's also got one of the lighter coloured brown horses. Roadhog with those excellent markings there that should give us a little bit of help, although he's not the only horse with those markings. John McDonald will be starting out of 10th place with Mad Blinkers behind him in 11th. in the lighter white-coloured horse. Desamage out of 12th place ahead of Josh Bagsy. And I just have to hasten to add on to Desamage, Goofball Antics, our resident horse expert, saying that he's just coming off a bit of a spell. Tyrrell in 14th place, and that rounds out our grid of 14 horses.
Dane Warren's horse looking very, very edgy and jumpy at the front there. Hopefully his horse holds its nerve throughout this whole 12-lap race. And on to race 2 as well. Oh, the tension's so thick you could cut it with a cricket stump right now. You could cut it with one of these horses' tails. You may also be wondering why their tails are rock solid. And there's no scientific reason for frame rate behind that. It's because we actually pumped them with about 4 cans of hairspray each to make sure they don't move. To make that, otherwise that would constitute a movable aerodynamic device, and that would be outlawed under FIA regulations. So that's why the horses look the way they do.
That's it. Federation International, not automobile. I can't think of anything relating to horses that begins with an A, though.
Anti-wheel racing.
FIH. But the cavalry is arriving on the grid right now, and Dane Warren, although I said earlier on that he was an absolute shoe-in with the shortest odds possible, his horse is bucking and weaving, and very, very difficult to see how he's going to hang on to it for these 12 laps, but nonetheless, they are gridding up, Matty.
They certainly are. We're seeing the grid forming up right now. The last few horses are coming into the gates now. They're being steadied quite well. They're holding them very calm, holding their nerve. It's great to see. We've just seen the last few guys, Josh Bagsy and Tyrrell, and they're all on the grid now. They're all in their spots. The lights will be coming on soon, and the gates will open, and we'll have a runaway. We'll have a break.
Starter's got the button. And racing, a penalty for Brenton Foley. Jumped the gate early. Off they go down to corner number 1, and it's Dane Warren going to the inside, covering off, and behind him an absolute cacophony of whinnying and noises from the horses as they get their way through. Now Dane Warren goes wide. He's going to lose positions already to Kurt Stenberg, who's going to have the run down to the Deshita de Glago corner. All of their heads have disappeared. They're just gradually appearing as they make their way down to turn 4, Matty.
Big lunge from Kurt Stenberg. He's having a look. He can't get it done. And now it's Colin Warwick going round the outside, followed by Nether, both going very, very wide through turn 5. Dane Warren is still headed. No, he's in second position now. Kurt Stenberg has taken the lead. Very narrow at the front, 200ths of a second. Dane Warren's going to take that lead back from him now. Kurt Stenberg falls back to second place, back to third. He's run very wide. Thomas McMillan's at the back there trying to pick up some spots, as are a few of these other riders. I've lost my place in the race standings at the moment. Warren is back in the lead. Kurt Stenberg second. Xeris is in third at the moment. So it's very, very close. All the horses are looking very jumpy at the moment. A few of these riders aren't used to these horses in race conditions. Dane Warren's looking pretty steady at the front though.
Xeris is round. Xeris is round. Oh my goodness, we've got horses spinning all over the racetrack. Unbelievable. There's dust absolutely everywhere, and there'll be something for the glue factory by the end of this race. Has Xeris managed to recover? He's all the way down into 11th place with Kurt Stenberg leading the race from Dane Warren. Nether Relmian goes up to second place with Dane Warren in third. It's Thomas McMillan fourth, and John McDonald all the way up to fifth, 5 spots up from where he started.
Great start from John McDonald. And folks, if you're looking for somewhere to put your investments in these uneasy economic times, invest in Clag. We are going to be giving them a hell of a lot of business by the time these races are up. Kurt Stenberg crosses the line. He leads the first lap. Nether is sitting brilliantly in second position at the moment in the box seat right behind him, just waiting to bide his time for the perfect moment. Dane Warren sits in third position. He hasn't dropped too far, and he's challenging Nether through turn 3. He's going to have a great run down the back straight as they pass the pit exit. He's side by side with Nether Elmian as they cross the pit exit line. Both their heads pop into scene around about the same time. That's the reference I'm using for gaps at the moment. And Dane Warren tries to slide in to second place at turn 4. He keeps it on a tight inside line because he's trying to defend from Thomas McMillan in fourth as well. Both these riders are scrapping it out, and that's going to be music to the ears of Thomas McMillan, who goes up the inside, tries to get the both of them. He gets past Nether Elmian, relegates him to fourth. Thomas McMillan is up into the podium spots now in third. Dane Warren still sits in second with Kurt Stenberg leading the charge by half a second.
So it's Kurt Stenberg by about two horse lengths, I should say. Lengths is really the term we need to use because we don't really need to differentiate between horses and cars as he goes wide and Dane Warren goes straight up the inside into the lead of this horse race. Brenton Foley, meanwhile, took a tour of the mounting yard for his troubles on the start.
Oh, it's side by side between Kurt Stenberg and Dane Warren. These riders are going to be absolutely hammer and tongs for the rest of this race and for race 2. I cannot wait to see these blokes push their way up from the back of the grid if they finish highly in this race, which I'm sure they will. They're coming down the main straight now. You can hear the crowd pushing them on. I struggled for the word there, as I'm sure you can understand. Side by side.
Oh. Dane Warren through into the lead, got an excellent draft down that straight. Oh, and very, very sideways there for Dane Warren. He's nearly lost control of his bucking, weaving Bronco, and Kurt Stenberg through into the lead. Oh, and look at that. Thomas McMillan takes the advantage. Up the inside goes the white horse, and he's going to put Kurt Stenberg under some pressure for the lead. This is a four-horse group, and Nether trying to latch onto the back after what was a very, very good opening start to the race to him.
Big wide line there from Kurt Stenberg, trying to get as much speed through as possible as McMillan falls right off the side of the track. He's still holding on to second position. These horses have very good off-road capabilities, but there's a lot of varied lines these guys can take and still maintain a lot of speed around here, which is great for close races such as these. There's a few of these guys getting quite sideways.
Oh, we've lost
these horses. Oh,
we've got Nether spun around, but he's right back on. Look at that, Dane Warren threw into, looked like he was nearly into the lead. He went cross-country, took a bit of a shortcut, but he's lost out. Sorry, that was Thomas McMillan, not Dane Warren. Thomas McMillan in the white horse, and Dane Warren...
Oh, McMillan, a big lunge. He can't get it done. No, sorry, Warren, I've got my names mixed up as well. Dane Warren had a huge lunge there down the inside of Kurt Stenberg, and Stenberg shut the door on him in a big way. So these riders are... Oh, big slide there from Dane Warren. He's going to lose a little bit of time there. No! Stenberg's around! So's Warren!
Oh my goodness gracious me! That's going to put Thomas McMillan through into the lead. Nether goes into second, and Kurt Stenberg trying to get back onto the racetrack there, and he's managed to do so. He's got a lot of work to do. Scratch him off your trifecta if you had him there. Although we still have best part of 3/4 of this race to go.
Thomas McMillan crosses the line to start lap 4. First position, Zeros places the fastest lap, 1 minute 41.838. He's sitting up in third place at the moment as a result of those scratching. He's up from 5th. Keep your eyes on Zeros, folks. He is going to be an absolute superstar.
100%. And Kurt Stenberg already making positions up. Oh, he's been tagged on the rear. Kurt Stenberg goes around again. Who was that? It might have been Colin or Mad Blinkers. And that's unfortunate for Kurt Stenberg. It goes from bad to worse for Kurt Stenberg.
Oh, he's having an awful run, isn't he? Kurt Stenberg, he's dropped all the way down to 12th. He's lost all confidence. That horse is not going to be feeling great right now. Down to 13th as Brenton Foley makes his way past as well, having suffered that ride-through penalty through the mounting yard as well. As we see, we've got Roadhog in the pit, in the stable. He's retired. He's been scratching from the race, so we're down to 13 runners at the moment.
Yeah, we got Thomas McMillan now leading by the best part of about 25 lengths out in front ahead of Xeris, who's had an excellent recovery after a disastrous start up into second place, looking to fly the flag for Apex Rear Wing, and Nether in third place, not too far behind.
Oh, I wish Bruce McAvaney was here to see this, because this is some of the best horse racing I've seen in a long time. We've got a great scrap down for 5th position at the moment. Whoa! Dane Warren up on 2 legs around that corner, trying his best to get out of 6th position, and he's dropped down to 7th. Mad Blinkers is up now to P6. Dropped down again to 7th. There's a close battle there.
Not for long as Dane Warren goes up the inside of Mad Blinkers. Mad Blinkers is around. Mad Blinkers has the blinkers on. And he is on the grass, trying to get a bit more grip there. Apparently, the white horses do better on the grass than they do on the tarmac.
But he has fallen back to P9. He's still 2 spots up from where he started, so he's still made a net gain in his race positions. But Josh Bagsy is about to gain that 9th position, so he's up 4 spots from where he started.
Oh, my goodness. So a lot of action already in the first 5 laps of this race, and I wonder if there's going to be any protests. River Whisper saying... potentially in response to... Oh, we've got another spinner ahead of Mad Blinkers. I think it was... just trying to see who's falling down the order. It might have
Josh
been...
Bagsy.
It was Bagsy. He's fallen down to 11th place.
Brenton Foley spun behind him as well.
So there's a lot of action going on in this...
Have a look at the race between Dane Warren and John McDonald. These guys are side by side. Dane Warren just loves a battle, doesn't he? He can't keep his hands away from one. He's still sitting in 5th, down 4 places from pole position, of course, looking to make his way as far back up there as he possibly can, and he's having a great scrap with John McDonald down in P5. Meanwhile, up in the battle for 3rd position, Nether is trying his best to hold off Colin Warwick, and Xeris is getting very close to Thomas McMillan at the front of this race. There's a gap of only 0.8 of a second between the two.
Now, what's that in lengths, my friend?
Yes.
Oh.
I'd say it's about...
There it is.
It looks to be about 5 or 6 lengths. So it's there's a bit of a gap, but it's closing up. Of course, being the leader in a horse race, as we all know, us all being experts at horse racing, is not often the best position to be, especially in the early stages of a race. I say early stages, we're getting toward the halfway point now, so this is where things are going to start getting very interesting indeed, as if they weren't interesting enough already.
Look at this, we've got Colin Warwick going around the outside of Netherelmian and tucks in up underneath, didn't quite have the pace to get him along the straight, but he's going to draft in behind him, going to the inside. This will be a bit of a practice for the end of the race. They were absolutely neck and neck as they went through. It might have just been Nether by a nose, but looks like Colin Warwick has slid himself up underneath at turn 1.
No chance of a crisscross there from Netherelmian. It is Colin Warwick who takes P3 using the karting line, or maybe the foaling line as you may refer to it.
Look at this for the lead. Fantastic. They both look exactly the same, these two horses. A commentator's nightmare as Thomas McMillan and Xeris go neck and neck into turn 4. It's Xeris on the inside here, and he slides his way through into the lead of this race.
There's that crisscross maneuver I was talking about. Xeris has executed it perfectly, but he's fallen back to P2 again. Thomas McMillan is still holding on, and he's jumped back in front with a gap of about 4 lengths now.
Even though Thomas McMillan managed to get his legs in the grass, he's still managed to get that overtake job done, and he's gone a little bit deep there, and it's going to allow Xeris back through into the lead, and indeed he does now lead this race by 0.4 of a second, or as you can see right there, around about 4 lengths. Oh my goodness, there's big contact. Thomas McMillan diving up the inside. Opportunistic moves there, and there may well be a protest.
Never mind the length. What a lunge that was. Erase that gap in an instant, and Xeris is back up into P1. So it's going to be very hard to keep our eyes off this battle, and there's so much more battling happening through the rest of the field as well. We've got a few other riders who are in contention for some position swaps at the moment. Colin Warwick is starting to pull a gap on Nether, actually, so that podium spot's looking pretty safe for him. But let's go back to the front now. Xeris, about 5 or 6 lengths. I'm going to go with a 1/10 of a second is about a length, but that obviously changes depending on how fast these horses are going.
It's about 12 furlongs.
If you're wondering how, it's about 12 furlongs. We can thank River Whisper 316 for that one.
Yes,
I'll be wondering, can you total a horse? And I wouldn't be shocked if you can. Dane Warren, fastest lap, 141.51. Whoa, what is Thomas McMillan doing there? He's going all over the shop.
Yeah, a bit of a shortcut there, and it nearly worked out for him as he tried to get up the inside of Xeris, who's trying to make a bit of a break for it at the front of this horse race. And Thomas McMillan says, no, I'm not going to let you do that. I don't know why my accent has changed.
A little bit wide there from Xeris. He's lost a little bit of a gap there, so Thomas McMillan is making his way back up, but anything can happen. And as they say in horse racing, it usually does.
Do they say that in horse racing?
They do now.
Excellent.
I'm glad you agree with me. How's the gap looking? 0.4 of a second.
Oh my
Whoa,
God.
never mind.
Wow.
Big cut across move there from Xeris, shutting the door in a big way. He's having a big slide through that corner, so that's lost him a little bit of time. He's going to be scrubbing off a bit of speed there. His horse is bucking and bolting, and Thomas McMillan loves that move into that corner there. These tight corners produce some really good opportunities for dive bomb maneuvers, and some of them are being converted, some of them aren't. So this is going to be a little bit of practice, and as we get towards these final laps, there's going to be some very dramatic moves taking place. You can count on that. Now, if you're wondering how fast these horses can actually get up to, by the time they get to the braking zone for turn 1, they'll be hitting about 225 kilometers an hour.
My goodness.
That's phenomenally quick.
That's
for an equine creature.
Yes, equine. Not. I thought you said F1 for a second, but yes, for an equine, that is usually it's a fair bit faster than they're normally known to go. So Thomas McMillan is doing a good job at holding on to Xeris for the time being. Been a bit erratic lately, and I think we're starting to see the horseshoe wear being a little bit of a factor in the dying stages of this race. We're 3/4 of the way through now.
Oh, speaking of camp drafts, we've got some of that happening down the back straight. Thomas McMillan's having a look. He's not going to... Never mind. He's going to force the issue. Xeris forced to take the outside line. Very, very outside, but Xeris is still there in P1. Thomas McMillan just sitting there in second, and I wouldn't be surprised if at this point Thomas McMillan is going to start just biding his time and waiting for the right maneuver. But at the same time, knowing these two guys, they're going to be chopping and changing for the rest of the race. So take whatever I say with a pinch of salt on this battle, because anything can change at the moment. Oh, we've got a few riders running wide through that corner. Colin Warwick darting right out to the scrub there.
That's the IndyCar total line there from Thomas McMillan and Colin Warwick. going well off the racetrack.
Picking up a little bit of dirt, maybe getting some more grit back into those. Whoa, Xerus is around!
Whoa! And he's lost out, not as much as he probably would have, because Thomas McMillan went nose to nose there with Xerus as his horse spun around. So the horseshoe's starting to get a little bit old now, and Colin Warwick now diving down the inside of Xerus, but is unable to affect the overtake. And it is Thomas McMillan now by about 30 lengths.
Colin Warwick says, hello boys, he's ready to get into this position 1 battle. He's right on the back of Xerus. The gap is about 0.3 of a second. It's going to get a little bit narrower as they draft down the main straight. We're coming towards the start of lap 9. We are 2/3 through this race. We do not have very long to go. It's going to be a sprint from here on out. And the gaps are getting so close. We've got a few dives here. Xerus having a look up the inside. Wow. He's got it done for now. I reckon he's got that nailed as Colin Warwick shoots well wide.
And we've lost. Thomas McMillan has spun around, and all of a sudden his chances for victory have gone up in smoke. He's managed to get it going, but he's down there in 4th place. We've got a very fast Dane Warren catching up to the leading duo of Xerus and Colin Warwick. It was a fastest lap on the previous occasion for Dane Warren as he hunts down this leading duo, Colin Warwick in 2nd.
He's got a lot of work to do. I can't even count the length between Dane Warren and Colin Warwick. It's a gap of 7 seconds between those two riders, but anything can happen. Xerus has been rock solid so far. I can't anticipate him making too many mistakes. Fingers crossed that commentator's curse is going to come back to bite me. I'm sure of it. He runs a little bit wide there, but so does Colin Warwick. So no harm done. Dane Warren running a little bit wide through that corner as well, making use of all the curb and a little bit more to get as much speed as possible through this slow section of the track.
Yeah, the wide line seems to be preferable by these leading runners, as we've seen them do it more and more as this race has evolved. Fantastic race so far from Xerus. 4 spots from where he started this race at the gate just 9 laps ago.
Let's go back through the back of the pack to see where everyone's standing at the moment. So it is Xerus leading in P1 with Colin Warwick sitting 2nd, up from 3rd. Dane Warren, who started on pole, is down into 3rd position and runs a little bit wide through that final corner there. Thomas McMillan is still sitting in 4th, but he's got Nether right behind him in 5th, and there could be a move on there pretty soon. Resist is sitting in P6 at the moment. Great job from him. D. Samaj is up 5 spots to 7th, where he sits at the moment. Kurt Stenberg is down 6 spots, having started on the front row of the grid of the mounting. I'm not even sure what the phrase is at the moment. My mind has completely lost me. He's in 8th position at the moment, right behind D. Samaj. Brenton Foley, having made that ride-through penalty through the mounting yard, is in P9 at the moment, with Tyrrell up 4 spots into 10th. Great run from him so far. Mad Blinker sits steady in 11th position with Josh Bagsy up to 12th. We've got John McDonald, who of course has fallen down to 13th. Roadhog being the only scratching from this race so far.
He's hung up the helmet, and it is now still Xerus leading this race as Colin Warwick elects to take the very, very wide line. I saw him do that on the previous occasion. He obviously thinks it's faster, but Dane Warren is right up alongside as they are neck and neck going into the second part of the second sector of this lap.
And Warren's got him around the outside as Colin Warwick runs very wide through the following corner. Warren now with a gap of half a second to Xerus. That can't be right. No, it's a second and a half. So there's a little bit more time there for him to make up.
Yes, he's got to worry about Colin Warwick behind. But the virtual mirror's not active on this mod, so they'll have the blinkers on, and they won't be able to see horses coming up there inside.
No, they certainly won't be able to. As Xerus now sitting in P1. He's got a gap of about 1 second, so Dane Warren is clawing back that deficit very, very quickly. But he's only got 2 more laps to get anything done. So
Incredible.
Keep your eyes posted on this front pack. It looks like it's petered out a little bit, but that is certainly not the case. Anything can happen. I've said it before, and you know I will say it again.
I hope you do. Xerus coming across the line to start the penultimate lap of this race. These horses not running out of steam. Incredible the distance that they're able to go. This is the Clippity Clop 100 kilometers. It is 2 50-kilometer races. That is a long way for a horse.
It certainly is.
At this speed,
At this speed, certainly they're pushing as hard as I've ever seen a horse push around any racing surface, be it grass, turf, sand, dirt, tarmac, as we're seeing here, which is a very new surface for some horse racing. Is obviously working very well for them. It's probably finding a lot of grip with these horseshoes. Probably got some fresh rubber on the bottom of their feet that are just they're able to push incredibly fast. And wow,
Look at
the
this.
front gap here. Dane Warren, side by side. He's up into P1. Can he make it stick?
Side by side.
Xeris is still there. He's side by side. Dane Warren runs to the outside. He might have a better run on the way to this hairpin corner here. No, not as quite yet. So the gap at the front is still about half a second. But look at how slippery Xeris' horse is around these corners. It's slipping and sliding all over the place. I reckon he's run out of horseshoe, and Dane Warren is there to pick up the pieces. Get ready for a ding-dong battle for the lead here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, wider line there from Dane Warren. A traditional line from Xeris, but more of the karting option from Dane Warren as he closes in the gap just 4 lengths as they go into the penultimate corner of the penultimate lap of this race. Both horses bucking as they go into the corner. It looks like Dane Warren's horse is really under him right now, as it wasn't on the warm-up lap. We saw him spin over multiple times, and they're now in each other's draft. Dane Warren's going to look to the outside, and this is going to be a dress rehearsal for the final lap of the race. This is the penultimate lap here, and Dane Warren's going to try and drive around the outside as they go to the line. Let's see what it's going to be. It is absolutely neck and neck as they come across on that occasion, and Dane Warren is going to try and swoop in front of Xeris, but Xeris is late on the brakes there for that horse. His brake bias on the horse set absolutely perfectly.
Great riding from Xeris there, but it's not over yet. Dane Warren's found a bit of grip around the outside of turn 3, and he's going to have a great run as he tries to peel off the rumble strip now on the back straight. He's making his way alongside. He's pulling up right up close to the inside of the track. Xeris giving him plenty of room, trying to make a move on the crisscross there. He's trying to make a move around the outside. He's gone very wide, and he's almost made it happen. He's still side by side. How is he carrying so much speed? Now he's put himself in the box seat for the position through this final corner here. Best seat in the house goes to Colin Warwick at the moment, watching this fantastic battle. And Xeris has made it stick for now. He's up into P1, but not for long. Oh, that's very aggressive driving there from Xeris. He may have run himself off the track a little bit there, but no, he's still good. He's pushing this horse to the absolute limit. And Dane Warren, all he can really do is sit back and watch him at work. He's going to have another look now. No, nothing doing. There's almost contact there, but they're both still running. The gap is so tight, you can't call it at this stage. My voice is starting to break, and there's still another race to go. I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle this.
Here we
Look
go.
at this.
I'll take it to the end here. We've got Xeris has just managed to go a little bit wide there, and that's allowed underneath him Dane Warren to get the lead, and it's going to be an absolute drag to the end of this race, and it looks like it's Xeris on the last corner has coughed up the win of this race. It's going to be Dane Warren with an unassailable lead now by about 40 lengths. It's Xeris in second place, but Dane Warren is going to take out the inaugural race in the Clippity Clop 100 across the line backwards. Xeris in second, and Colin Warwick brings up third.
What an unbelievable race. Look at the battle for fourth. We've got Resist, who is sitting in fourth. He's got 2 riders, Thomas McMillan and Nether right behind him. They're going to be chopping and changing. Who's going to cross the line in fourth?
Oh!
Resist! Just
by a nose.
as he goes over and over. That's a horrendous crash.
We've had a rolled horse in the background. That's going to be a premature entry to the glue factory, and he may need a new horse for race number 2.
Kurt Stenberg crosses the line in 7th, having recovered a couple of spots there. Desamage in 8th. Brenton Foley makes his way up to 9th position, and we got Mad Blinkers coming around the final bend now. He's got a bit of a gap behind him. He's looking pretty safe in 10th. Josh Baggsy will surely follow him up the road in 11th. Tyrrell further back in 12th. And John McDonald is currently on the track in 13th. He's running very wide there. He will be the last runner to finish this race.
Oh, well, the jockey Xeris will be very upset with losing the race on the final lap, I should imagine. Final corner of the final lap, Matty, but hats off to Dane Warren. He put Xeris under incredible pressure and recovered from a bit of a mistake early on in the race to take a terrific victory.
Hats off to Dane Warren indeed. I'd almost completely written him off after he spun out at the early stages of the race because he dropped back to, what was it? I think it was 5th position he fell back to. But he was able to charge his way all the way back up to the front, and wouldn't you know it, he's stolen the win at the last possible moment.
Well, the man he stole the win from is now joining us in the commentary box. Xeris, what an entertaining race from our point of view. Oh, so close for you.
Oh, man, that was fun.
Absolutely.
I cooked it into the last corner, and I'm not happy about that. But at the same time, like, Dane was a full 0.8 of a second faster at all times, so really he deserves it.
Absolutely, and Dane now joins us. Congratulations, Dane. It was very entertaining from our point of view, but congratulations on taking out the first race of the Clippity Clop 100.
Yeah, thanks, lads. It just seems that the stallion was on point tonight. Really good base setup from the lads, and yeah, can't complain.
Absolutely. We saw the biggest issues you had on the warm-up lap.
Yeah, obviously, old mate didn't want to get off the lineup at the start, and had a few hissy fits throughout the lap, so we're lucky to get back and eventually win the race.
Well, you certainly tamed the steed when it mattered.
Yes, indeed. It looks like a couple of my competitors did not, i.e. Thomas McMillan, so hopefully gets it together in the next race.
100%. We had quite a few people swapping the lead of this race. So
Probably the first lap, going 3 wide with Stenny and Dane. That was quite fun until Tom dive bombed us all and pushed us all off the road. So typical McMillan fashion, but you know, all good. Recovered and drove well and got up there. So that was fun. Can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely. Reverse grid coming up. Expectations for this second race of the night?
Oh, first, mate. First. Got to get there.
There you go. First or nothing. You heard it here first. Congratulations to Colin Warwick, Xeris and Dane Warren, our podium sitters for race 1 in the Clippity Clop 100.
Great effort from everyone involved in that race, and I'm going to need to take a moment.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break, and earlier in the year we were able to get to the Bathurst 12 hour, and we took a little bit of video on the way there, so we're going to play that while we get ready for race number 2. So don't go anywhere, we'll see you in a short moment. Here we are, approaching the hay plains. We've got AV, or Goofball Antics is driving, it's happening. And on the other side there is Madbird, it's me. And Stairs here, repping in the back seat. Behind us. Oh, let's not worry about that magazine. we got Resist and Xeris in the front there. Resist driving. How have you felt about the trip so far, Heath?
It's been good. It's a bit of an early start. It's nice and cool in here, and that's all that matters. Good company.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot day today, isn't it, Madbird?
Feels weird being a passenger in my own car.
We're 6 hours in, about 7 hours to go. See you in Bathurst.
Oh my goodness! How are you feeling after that turn there, Heath? Or that not turn, but that truck turning?
Truck turn?
Yeah, that looked like it unsettled you slightly.
Are there any cucumbers back there, Stairs? Because that'd be the only thing cooler than me right now.
Oh, he's done it.
This coke's pretty cool.
What an absolute legend. So we're on the way to West Wyalong. We got assorted snacks. We got our walkie-talkie, and we don't have a rubbish bag. Do we, Stairs?
No.
I appreciate it.
We don't have a rubbish bag. That was an oversight.
So the marching order is the same as before. I believe Phil is still driving in the other car.
Yep.
We are about 400 k's now from Bathurst, and it's all looking very exciting. I'm very keen, and I'm really happy that Alistair has these very loud walkie-talkies. Oh, fuck.
Do you want to check in with the other cars, see if they've got anything to say to the fans?
Oh my gosh.
Mad car to Fabmobile, do you read?
What?
Take that as a yes. Do you have a question for them?
How's your drive going?
Oh, how's the drive going? Everything going well on your part?
Yep, it sure is the countryside.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there.
Good talk.
Good talk. Anyway, good talking to you.
So that's about it. We're on our way, and we'll be in Bathurst this evening. I'm very excited to stretch my legs. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Clippity Clop 100. This is the pause in between the two races. We're about to have a race number 2, and Matt Dunlop, we had an absolute cracker of a horse race in race number 1.
Of all the horse races I've seen on racetracks such as Interlagos Stairs, that was by far the best. Bar none.
I
And
find
I
that hard to disagree with.
I can only imagine how much better it's going to be for race 2. But seriously, that was a phenomenally fun race to watch. And we're just seeing some of the riders pull out for a little bit of warm-up before race 2 gets underway. But I imagine we'll be cutting to the race start very shortly. I'm just going to run through the grid very quickly, as we do have a reverse grid. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it will be John McDonald starting from barrier number 1, followed by Tyrrell, Josh Bagsy, Mad Blinkers, Brenton Foley, D. Samaj, Kurt Stenberg, Nether, Thomas McMillan, Resist, Colin Warwick, Xeris, Dane Warren, and Roadhog will be bringing up the rear of the field. Well, we only have 13 entrants so far on the current practice session, so I'm not sure if Roadhog is still in the server.
Possibly a late scratching. We know we lost him from race number
Possibly,
1.
so in that case...
So
Sorry, go on.
No, we certainly hope to see him back for race number 2. Of course, due to the reverse grid format, with retirees from race 1 not being allowed to start from the front for race 2, he will have to start from the back if he indeed does make it back for the start of this race.
So if he doesn't make the start for race 2, it will be Dane Warren and Xeris starting from the rear of the grid, and that'll be very interesting to see what they can do from there, because they'll be scrapping and battling all the way through, trying to get past every other rider in the field as well. And Thomas McMillan, boy, I can't wait to see what he can do in this race either.
Yeah, well, he was looking like he was in the box seat to win that race at one stage, but unfortunately it all fell apart for him with a few spins. We saw a lot of people spin, including Xeris and Dane Warren, who ended up first and second in that race. So just spinning is not necessarily that much of a bad thing in these races.
No, exactly right. Thing is, just about everyone spun as well, as we see Xeris walking backwards out of the pit lane, so obviously practicing some advanced riding techniques here. maybe rehearsing for the Outback Spectacular, as we see quite a few other riders doing the same thing in the mounting yard.
Yeah, just getting live vision now from the warm-up session, with Nether on his way down to the Deshida de Largo. Was very strong early on in the race, shot right up to the front of the field, but was a little bit quieter in the back end of that race. Probably got caught up in a couple of skirmishes that we wouldn't have wished upon him.
No, it was such an unpredictable race. We didn't really know what was happening there. For a few portions, we'd have someone spinning at the front, and we'd have to jump to the back because we'd have a big pile up or something like that. And it's been truly thrilling racing to watch, as we're seeing everybody else just having a bit of fun out there during this warm-up session. We just got a little bit under 4 minutes to go here.
So we had a little bit of a feature on our trip to Bathurst in the break between the two races. Matty, did you enjoy that?
I did. My favourite part of that was the time-lapse footage that showed absolutely nothing changing as you drove through the Australian bush on the way up to Bathurst.
Yeah, it's even worse in real time.
I can imagine. I did a similar drive when I went up in 2000 and what did I go? 2011 or 2012? One of those years I went for the 1000. And making my way up from Melbourne, we went through I don't even remember the name of the highway, but it was very similar scenery. I imagine you would have taken a similar route to us. But good fun. Looks like you guys had a lot of fun in the car, and it was an excellent race to be spectating, I believe.
It was, barring the heat, of course, and the dust, but it was, I mean, it's always a great event there. Those were merely slight challenges, but as Kurt Stenberg said himself, who I caught up with at the 12 hour, how good's this, getting a free dirt blast?
That's exactly right. That is something I do remember from the event. It was windy as all hell, and you were copping dust left, right, and centre no matter where you were. So almost apocalyptic conditions you had at the track, but nevertheless you persisted, and we were able to see some great footage, able to see some great racing from there as well. It looked like you had a great time.
Loved it. Would go back hopefully we will be out of our lockdown by January next year, February next year, that would be absolutely fantastic. But of course, well, back on the dirt blast side, I was definitely a few shades darker than I was at the beginning of the day. Reapplying sunscreen absolutely religiously throughout the day, so I didn't get sunburnt. But of course, that makes the dust stick to it.
That's exactly right. It gets a little bit like that. You start picking up all the dust on your hands and you just can't do anything to keep the dirt off you. And then once you paint all that sunscreen all over yourself, you just turn into glue. A lot like Roadhog's horse is doing after this weekend, I'm sure.
Well, race 2 is about to get underway, so you know what that means. It's time for the fanfare. I feel like we should do that for every race.
We certainly should. I love the ceremony. It's kind of like the sort of anticipation you get down trackside when you have the 5-minute siren going off at places like Sandown and Phillip Island. Really helps to build the tension and the anticipation. It's something that we should bring into all racetracks in real life and in simulator racing, if you ask me.
I would agree with you there. Oh, we had a bit of a reset somewhere, as the cacophony of horse breathing sounds has been reduced to nothing, and I'm seeing the stables empty. The stables being refilled with their horses.
Just having a look in the chat. And I'm going to word it a little bit differently to how D-Smash has worded it, but Xeris has to take a moment, and he'll be 5 seconds.
So the delay that we are having is because of D-Smash. So you heard it here first. If you're in the chat, blame D-Smash. So we were all set for a start, and we're all...
No, D-Smash is ready to go. It looks like Xeris.
Oh,
of course, hosting the server as well. So Xeris had to take a moment, and now the server is restarting. So we'll get into our race session very shortly. Don't go anywhere, folks, especially if you're inside your house. Please stay home. Consider this a public service announcement. The longer we don't practice social distancing, the longer this whole curve will have to be flattened for. So the more we can restrict our contact with other people, the better it will be, and we'll be all back out on the street drinking and partying and having a grand old time with our family and friends in no time at all. Please take care of yourselves as well. We'll all get through this together. And for tonight, let's just enjoy some bloody good horse racing.
100% with you there. My apologies to D-Smash for throwing him under the bus there. D-Smash has just thrown Xeris under the bus. I'm just looking at the server chat, and I won't use exactly the words that he used, but Xeris has to take and I think you may guess what the other word is. It involves excrement. So
he has to take a moment.
When nature calls, and we know nature's boss based on recent events, certainly. So we have to be beholden to it, if that's the right term.
You must answer the call.
Exactly. So that gives us a little bit more time to reflect and to get ready for this reverse grid horse race that will be the final say in this Clippity Clop 100, the final of 2 50-kilometre races that will decide the inaugural, assuming there are other Clippity Clop 100s. But certainly,
I'd be pretty devastated if there weren't, to be honest.
Well, it's there are certain traditions that I think I'll miss if they don't carry on, such as the fanfare, such as the late scratchings. Actually, I don't like the scratchings. I like the term scratchings, but I don't.
I like using horse racing terminology, yeah, because it makes me feel like I know it. It makes me feel like I do know about horse racing, so that's always a nice feeling to have.
Absolutely. So it looks like the server has reset, so we'll get live pictures very, very shortly indeed. It means we'll get to do the fanfare again. So...
Oh, I can't wait.
Stand by. Oh, whoops, that didn't work. Let's try that one again, shall we? Excellent. So it looks like we've almost got a full grid of... I was waiting for live timing to show me the number, but I believe it's 13. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Matty.
13 runners, you are absolutely correct. Roadhog will not be making an appearance in this race, so 13 runners with John McDonald starting from barrier 1.
So that means that he will lead them around on their formation lap, where they'll have an opportunity to warm their horse brakes and their horse shoes. We saw a very hectic start to race number 1, so horse shoe temperature is incredibly important. Matty, do you want to take us through the grid?
John McDonald will be starting from barrier 1 here for race 2 of the Clippity Clop 100. Tyrrell will be starting from 2nd position in the dark horse there, with Josh Bagsy in the brown horse starting from 3rd. Mad Blinkers there in the white horse will be 4th and looking to push up into the early spots early on in the race, as will the rest of the riders. Brenton Foley looking to make amends for the jump start in race 1. He'll be looking pretty good from P5. Let's see what he can do. Decimage is in P6 behind him. Kurt Stenberg in 7th. We got Nether Elmian, who did very, very well in race 1, in 8th. Thomas McMillan, one of the most flamboyant races we've seen on the track in recent times, starting from 9th. As we go down to the further echelons, Resist is in 10th. Great result from him. Colin Warwick is in 11th. Xeris, narrowly losing out on race 1, will be starting from 12th, second last on the grid, only in front of Dane Warren, the winner, of course, of race 1, who will be starting from the back of the grid. And my question for you, Stairs, is how much do you think the reverse grid is going to have an effect? Sure, it'll make the racing very close and very dicey and very all over the place, but if there's a bit of an accident or a few horses spin out, it seems like it's pretty easy to recover. Do you reckon there'll be much work for the guys at the back to do, or do you think it'll be, 110% effort to get back to the front?
It's been a long time since there's been reverse grid races in Apex Rear Wing, and certainly at the time Xeris didn't have too much difficulty winning a lot of those reverse grid races, even though he was starting them from the back. But everyone has got a little bit stronger since then, but we do have a lot of strong invitees in this race. So Dane Warren, the likes of him, Colin Warwick, said that he would be going for the win. These guys are going to be making their way through the pack very, very quickly, and I would expect them to get most of the work done in the early laps of this race. But I'm interested to see what Nether does in 8th place. Here's a dark horse.
He quite literally is a dark horse, and it's going to be great to see what he can do from 8th position. There's going to be a lot of unknowns at the start of this race, and I'm very keen to see. Keep an eye out for any pig roots, which according to the thesaurus is when a horse bucks and tries to throw the jockey, often leading to the horse losing ground in a race. It is most common at the start and early stages of a race. So what we might refer to as someone bogging down the start in automobile racing would be a pig root. So that is a lovely little phrase that I'm going to try to use in every facet of my life. And hopefully we don't see too much pig rooting at the start of this race, and hopefully everyone gets away cleanly, and we've got a spin at the back before the race has even started.
That's Dane Warren at the back. His horse refusing to get into the gate cleanly by the looks of it, but
he must be listening along because the commentator's curse is bit very hard. That's a pig root if I've ever seen one, Stairs.
Starter's got the button. Racing. Oh, poor start for John McDonald there. He's fallen right back, and when the camera switches, we'll be able to see how far back. No, he's still in the lead at the moment, but Josh Baggs, he's pulling up alongside him. He's looking to make a pass into turn 1. He's cut the inside line, and he's got it done very, very well. So Josh Baggs, he takes the lead. He's still alongside John McDonald, who goes into the front. Big shortcut there from Mad Blinkers, and we've got something happening in the back. Yes, we've had Dane Warren was trying to get 4 or 5 horses in the first corner, but he came to blows with another horse and was sent off unceremoniously to the back and is down in 13th place.
Right back to square one for Dane Warren in 13th position. We've got Josh Bagsy leading this race ahead of John McDonald in 2nd, with Mad Blinkers right behind. So it's a very close scrap for the front 3 positions. Decimage is up 2 spots into 4th at the moment, with Tyrrell behind, and Colin Warwick is up into 7th already. So Colin Warwick has made up 4 spots and is looking to push up even further as the race goes on. We've still got some more chopping and changing, but Josh Bagsy is still leading the way by quite a considerable number of lengths already at the start of this race.
Thomas McMillan, having started in the middle of the grid with a poor first race, is now making positions up and is already up into 3rd, an early mover in this race.
Unbelievably great start from Thomas McMillan. I didn't even notice. So he's up to 3rd position already, and he's going to be pushing ferociously hard, trying to make his way up to the front.
We've got another spinner. I believe that's Xeris all the way to the back, and the white horse got caught up in the melee in the middle of the lap.
Oh, what a shame for Xeris. He's got a lot of work to do. He's going to have to put in consistent laps to get himself back into the running and hope that other riders make mistakes, which I wouldn't put past them, to be honest with you. Brenton Foley's fallen back as well. He's down into 12th position, so he's had another horrendous start.
Top
Nether
3
is down
to
to 11th. Go on. Top three horses.
Yes,
We've got some more battling on.
Well, the top three horses have made a break from the pack, and here they are coming across the line as Josh Baggs is still leading, but Thomas McMillan has moved his way past John McDonald up into second place, and he's going to dive down the inside as Thomas McMillan to take the lead of the race from Josh Baggsy, who is going to relinquish it. And he tries to go side by side. There's going to be a little bit of a return of serve from Josh Baggsy if he can just hang on, but it looks like he's lost out through the middle part of the corner, and Thomas McMillan is out to an early lead.
That was almost a little bit too hot for Thomas McMillan. I thought he was going to throw that away for sure in turn 1, but he just held on, pulled his braking marker to the exact millimetre of where it needed to be, and Josh Baggy's been pushed off the road. John McDonald spun around, and he sees the whole field go past him. He's dropped back to 9th, 10th, 12th position. So he's only got Xeris behind him now, and Dane Warren
up into 3rd place. And imagine that. He was last time I mentioned his name, and he's made his way past every single other horse apart from Thomas McMillan and Josh Baggsy, and he's a man on a charge. Our race winner from the first race. Look at him, up on 2 legs there, nearly rolled the horse. I didn't think that was possible.
How does he do that? Up 10 spots on 1 lap to get into 3rd position. He's going to have a look for 2nd now, and he's up into 2nd. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. 2nd position. He's got a bit of a gap to 1st place in front of him, but I can imagine he'll make light work of that.
Yeah, Colin Warwick doing well too, up into 4th place. He's the next man for Josh Baggsy to worry about. If he had mirrors, he'd be looking in them. Thankfully, he doesn't. He'll have the blinkers on, and he'll be eyes forward. And Josh Baggsy in a good position right now, but he's just been relinquished of his podium position.
It's close though. He might get a draft down the main straight. He's sitting right behind Colin Warwick, so keep your eyes peeled as they make the run into turn 1. As they cross the line, it is Thomas McMillan who leads. Dane Warren is 2nd, Colin Warwick is still 3rd, and he's got a bit of a gap to Josh Baggsy, so no movement there. Kurt Stenberg and Mad Blinkers are having a great battle for 5th place at the moment. More scrapping behind them as well. Nether is in 7th, with Resist and Decimad side by side behind him, with Resist looking to pick up any slack from those two. Brenton Foley even is involved in that one as well. So we've got a 4-horse race there for 7th position, and they're starting to peter out a little bit, but that's going to be closing up quite soon. Thomas McMillan has spun in the lead.
Unbelievable. So that's going to put Dane Warren into the lead of the race. And where is Thomas McMillan? Just trying to see where he is.
11th. He's fallen back to 11th stairs. That's a huge drop.
Unbelievable. So let's see how that happened. Here is Thomas McMillan all by his lonesome, spinning it at the turn 4 exit, and unfortunately was unable to get his horse going quickly and has lost a huge amount of time. He was leading this race quite comfortably, not under any pressure, and unfortunately that horse just a little bit too difficult to ride for Thomas McMillan. Look at that, Dane Warren in the lead.
What a shame to see that happen. And Dane Warren on lap 3, he's in the lead. He's made his way up from last place on the grid to the lead in less than 3 laps. What an effort. And he's already 3 seconds ahead of Colin Warwick. I can't even count that in length. That's just too far. That's lengths of a football field is the sort of territory going into there.
Still off there. We've got Xeris making his recovery as well. He's up into 9th place from having spun in the early stages of this race. He's right up underneath Tyrrell here, and he's going to overtake him for 8th place if he gets a good run onto the back straight here, or to the main straight I should say. And Dane Warren sets the fastest lap of a 1:40. Oh, so close to those 39s.
1:40 has got to be the fastest lap we've seen so far from this session. Xeris side by side with Tyrrell. He's going to have a look around the outside, and surely he's going to get that done if he gets his braking marker right. Oh, Tyrrell having a little bit of a look there, nothing doing. Xeris is up to behind Brenton Foley by a little bit of a gap. There's about 4 seconds between them at the moment.
Thomas McMillan has just reversed into the stable, and over and out for Thomas McMillan.
Oh, Dane Warren! Dane Warren! He's around in 2nd position! Looks like he's been knocked off the track by Colin Warwick, who's now in the lead. Kurt Stenberg go up to P2. Huge drama at the front of the race.
Wow, we were not expecting this after race 1 was reasonably clean affair with a few spins, but here is the replay of Dane Warren being shoved off the track there. Huge collision boxes these horses have, larger than the horses themselves, as Dane Warren is unceremoniously punted out of the lead. And Colin Warwick, well, he said he was going for the win, and he's using aggressive tactics, but he is in the lead by 2 seconds. What's that in lengths? I don't know, because I'm not looking at it.
It's a lot of them, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's a protest after the race for that one, because that was not exactly on, if you ask me. But Colin Warwick doesn't care one bit. He's up 10 spots from where he started in P1, with Kurt Stenberg sitting behind in 2nd. Bit of a gap. Mad Blinkers is sitting up in 3rd. Great run from him so far.
Bit of a game of snakes and ladders for the leading guys with Xeris and Dane Warren in 7th and 8th. And only about 6 positions behind where, or 7 positions behind where they finished in race number 1.
Just reaching 3rd race distance now. 4 laps completed out of 12. So that's about 16 kilometers, I believe, having been completed in this race so far, as we make our way towards 100 laps, 100 kilometers completed in total. Nether, Mad Blinkers, battle for 3rd. Nether on the inside on the Dark Horse. He's going to get through. There's a little bit of a shove there, a little bit of a nudge. Mad Blinkers has to take a very evasive line right across the exit of the chicane there. He's got a huge gap now. Will he drop back and let that go back to Nether? I doubt it, because Nether is now in a 4-horse battle and he can't afford to lose any more positions.
Yeah, well, he's got Dane Warren now breathing down his neck. In fact, Dane Warren has managed to get past onto the inside into the Lake Descent corner of Deshita de Lago. Dane Warren up into 4th on the recovery drive, and very, very quickly making positions up. And he's already made at least a 2.5 seconds up on Colin Warwick since Colin Warwick and himself came to blows about a lap and a half ago. So that time is coming down rapidly, even though he's passing horses.
He's already breaking away from the pack behind him as well. There's now a 3-horse to race between Nether in 5th, Resist in P6, Brenton Foley in P7 as well. They're relatively close, but Dane Warren is breaking away at the front, so those 3 are being left to their own devices. There's not going to be a huge amount of movement here in these slow sections here. They're a little bit too spaced out for that, but once they make their way onto the main straight, you may start to see some drafting between those guys. Xeris up to P8 at the moment.
And Dane Warren relinquishing Madbird of 3rd place straight up the inside, and off he goes into the sunset. And Mad Blinkers can do nothing but stare.
He's going to see if he can get a draft on the main straight and get back past him in turn 1, even if it is for a fleeting moment, because Dane Warren has a lot of work to do to get back up towards 2nd and 1st. He's got a gap of about 4 seconds to Kurt Stenberg, who's currently sitting in 2nd, having a great run, staying out of trouble there. Nether has a look on the inside of Mad Blinkers for P4. There's another mover up the inside into turn 1. He's looking pretty good so far. Oh, Mad Blinkers having a look around the outside of turn 2. He's got it done! What a move that was!
That was a brave jockey move there from Mad Blinkers, and that's something only a guy with Mad Blinkers would do, as Nether tries to drive around the outside defensive line from Mad Blinkers down into Deshita de Lago. It's going to be a side-by-side horse race there. Nothing between these 2 stallions as they go through the 2nd sector split of this lap. First sector
very
split.
side by side here. Mad Blinkers is going to be in the box seat to get the position through this corner, but he slots in behind Nether. He's going to have another lunge. Oh, there's some contact there. They both stay on the track for the time being, but Nether's run very wide. He's still up there. Oh, he's around. Mad Blinkers is around.
Yeah, he won't be happy with that. He's dropped all the way down to 8th place, just ahead of Tyrrell and behind Brenton Foley. So that's all come to blows there for Madbird. Good start to this race, but unfortunately, it's not what he would have liked, having a bit of a mare.
Far from ideal, having a bit of a mare indeed. Meanwhile, Nether is on a flyer. He's still up into P4, doing very well, sitting at the same place, roughly, where he was in race 1. So he's very, very consistent, staying out of trouble for the most part, obviously getting involved with Mad Blinkers there. A little bit of a dust being kicked up in one of those final corners there, not sure who it's from. And we've still got a close battle between Resist and Xeris for 5th and 6th. So this is going to be a great scrap to see what these guys can do. Brothers, of course, have raced it alongside each other in Apex Rear-Wing for a long time. So they know their own racecraft and each other's back to front. And Xeris is having a big look up the inside in turn 1, which is by far the most popular place for a move. Can't get it done. Resist is still next to him, side by side. Resist has the line through turn 2, but Xeris is going to be there through turn 3. It's a very long corner, so it's hard to get a run here. Oh, we've got a drive-through penalty, a ride-through penalty, if you will, for Mad Blinkers, which I assume would be for shortcutting the track, which is very unfortunate. Let's go back to this battle for 5th position. Xeris is up the inside in turn 4. He's got it done. Will he be able to hold on to the spot? Yes, he will. Great moving there from Xeris.
Yeah, still side by side. Fantastic battling between the 2 brothers. Absolutely not horsing around there as Resist and Xeris are fighting over brotherly pride between one another. But it looks like Resist is forced to relinquish that one now, and Xeris continues the recovery run. Brenton Foley just behind Resist, looking to make up spots Meanwhile, at the front, it's still Colin Warwick leading by around about, looks like maybe, oh, it's quite a big gap. You can't see Kurt Stenberg on that screen. It's maybe 50 lengths or so. So Colin Warwick looking to make good on his promise to win this race, but of course Kurt Stenberg is no slouch, and in fact behind them it is Dane Warren who's putting Kurt Stenberg under some pressure.
Great run onto the main straight from Colin Warwick. He's pulled that gap out by about 0.4 of a second in the new money to about 3 seconds. The gap between him and Kurt Stenberg now. Kurt Stenberg has Dane Warren all over the back of him. He's not close enough for a draft yet though, so they'll sit pretty in second and third.
Not sure how it happened, but Brenton Foley has managed to get ahead of both Resist and Xerus. So Xerus has had some sort of issue somewhere and dropped behind Resist, who he was ahead of a moment ago, and Brenton Foley's got the pair of them.
Oh, but he's run wide and he's let Xerus back through. Sorry, he's let Resist back through into P5. So there's a bit of space now. So I'd say Xerus has made a mistake indeed. We must have missed what's happened there. And he's dropped down to 7th position. Still 5 spots up from where he started, of course, in this perverse grid race.
Meanwhile,
but nowhere near where he'd want to be.
Kurt Stenberg in the dark horse and Dane Warren in the darker horse on the inside, on the left of your screen there, is trying to relinquish Kurt Stenberg of his second place and go for the win with Colin Warwick 3 seconds up the road with 4 laps to go. It's looking pretty good for Colin Warwick right now, but he'd be wanting Kurt Stenberg to hold Dane Warren up for a little bit. In fact, Dane Warren has got through. I beg your pardon, I missed that. So Dane Warren makes the break in second place, and does he have enough time now to catch Colin Warwick up around about, as you said, 3 seconds in the old money? There it is on your screen, around about 50 lengths.
He's got 4 laps to do it. Dane Warren up into P2. He's got Kurt Stenberg right behind him, but as we've been seeing, Dane Warren knows how to take a gap and run with it in these horses. So he's going to be flying. He's already got a gap of about half a second on Kurt Stenberg between second and third, and he's going to be pushing his way up as much as he can. You look at the gap he's already brought down. 0.7 of a second he's reduced on Colin Warwick at the front. So there is a battle on for sure for the lead of this race. So keep your eyes peeled there. We'll check in with that later, of course. Let's see if we've got any more battling happening through the pack.
Brenton Foley.
Yes, we do.
And Brenton Foley and Resist going head-to-head. As they come across the straight, it looks like Xerus is going to have a good draft onto the run to turn 1. And Brenton Foley clippeting, cloppeting, going very, very quickly there and going very, very deep into turn 1. We know Xerus likes to back it in to turn 1, and so does Brenton Foley. Absolutely hammer and tongs, and they both catch Resist a little bit through that corner.
So it's now back on a 3-horse race for 5th position at the moment. And as they go down the back straight, there's going to be some serious drafting happening here. Xerus is looking to tack onto the back of Brenton Foley and get past him. At the very least, he's having a look. Nothing doing here. So they sit line astern at the moment. We've got another left-hand corner coming up. Oh, very wide for Brenton Foley. Xerus following suit there. They're all still running line astern, and they're going to have another run here. So Brenton Foley looking to get up the inside of Resist. Xerus looking to get up the inside of both of them. But they are still side by side. Not by side. They're running line astern. So they're all running in very tight order at the moment. There's got to be a lot of passing happening between these three anytime soon, because they're so close at the moment. They might even get some moves done in this section here. Brenton Foley's fallen back, so Xerus is up to P6 now, and he's chasing down his brother Resist for 5th position. Not sure he'll be able to do much better than that, because Nether has a gap of just over 2 seconds to those guys behind them, but we'll have to see what happens there. Oh, Kurt Stenberg's run very wide, so that's left him a huge gap to Dane Warren. So Dane Warren sitting very pretty there, and he's brought the gap at the front to 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, it's a very, very quick rate of progress for Dane Warren as he catches up to Colin Warwick there. As you said, under a second, and there it is on your screen. Probably about 20 lengths now. He's reduced that by about 2/3.
Have a look at Xerus. He's all over the back of Resist. Sorry to butt in there, but this is a very close race. He's going to be in front by the time they get to the line. Not quite. He's going to have a look into turn 1 though, and surely he's going to get this done. As long as he gets his braking point right, he's got that under control, and Xerus is up to P5 comfortably.
Meanwhile, Dane Warren is catching Colin Warwick very, very quickly. It's down now to about 10 lengths from last time we checked. It is halved, and Colin Warwick is going to have a lot of work here to keep Dane Warren at bay, and Dane Warren looking like he's winks odds here to take 2 wins from 2 races in the Clippity Clop 100.
Oh, very wide there from Colin Warwick, and Dane Warren's in the box seat. He's up the inside. He's in P1. We've got another penalty for Mad Blinkers, another ride-through penalty. I imagine that may have been speeding in the pit lane. It possibly
Oh, have we lost Matty? We'll take over here as Colin Warwick there still leads.
Simply was.
From
Meanwhile,
there.
back at the front,
Oh,
we've still.
got him back.
Alrighty, am I back in?
You're back. You're back. Take it away.
Terrific. Alrighty, Colin Warwick is sitting pretty at the moment. Not sitting very pretty at all because Dane Warren is all over the back of him with 2 laps to go as they go through the penultimate corner of this lap. So, keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be some drafting down the front straight here. Colin Warwick is taking right to the inside, trying to prevent that from happening at all. But Dane Warren is maybe a little bit too far back to initiate any sort of drafting maneuvers here. No, never mind. He's very close. I pulled a very big Murray Walker there and completely muddled up my gaps there. Oh, very interesting lines. Colin Warwick going very defensive there. Dane Warren going for speed around the outside.
Wow.
What a move! Oh, they're side by side at turn 1. There's a little bit of contact there. They're both still running. Dane Warren has a big slide through turn 2. Has a good run, hopefully through turn 3 to get alongside him. But they're still running. Colin Warwick first and second. Great defensive riding, if not a little bit lucky from Colin Warwick.
Wow.
As, whoa, there's almost contact as Colin Warwick swerves back onto the track. Warren is all over him. He's going to have a very late lunge, or he's going to sit tight. He's just going to sit where he is in second for now. But Warwick is wide.
Warwick goes very, very wide. We saw him take that line in the previous race, but he has relinquished the lead to Dane Warren, and Dane Warren cleanly through into the lead. We know that they have previous from the earlier incident in this race where Colin Warwick and Dane Warren came to blows as Dane Warren's horse is sideways on the run-up Ferradura there, and they switch back, and Colin Warwick goes briefly into the lead. Dane Warren goes back into the lead. Colin Warwick goes back into the lead. It is absolutely neck and neck on this, the penultimate lap of this, the Clippity Clop 100. It's Dane Warren barging his way down the inside as they have just a couple more corners to go on this penultimate lap of the race. The last lap but one.
It's almost impossible to call this race live because as soon as we finish the sentence, the order has changed. These guys are swapping spots so often, it's so hard to keep up.
Oh
Warren's dropped back to second position. He's run wide in the penultimate corner. We've got one more lap to go, folks. They're going to be neck and neck as they go past, separated by nose as they hit the finish line for the second last time. We've got 1 lap left. Dane Warren, second position. Colin Warwick is currently leading this race in P1. They are all over each other like cheap suits. They're going to be side by side at the line. Warwick is still ahead. Warren around the outside. He's not going to be able to get much done here unless he has a huge lunge. There's contact. Oh, Warren nearly goes around. He gets very sideways, tips it right in, but they're both still hanging on just. Dane Warren's got the inside line through turn 3, and Colin Warwick is right alongside him. Warren's briefly taken the lead, but they are practically neck and neck.
Unbelievable. We've had 4 scratchings from the race. They've joined the audience. In fact, their horses are already on the cart to the glue factory, and they're sitting here watching these. I would love to say that one of these guys is a home and hose, but it's absolutely far from the case. It's Dane Warren leading this race. Colin Warwick only has a few more opportunities to snatch back the win from Dane Warren, who was able to snatch victory from Xeris in the first race on the final corner of the race. But here comes Colin Warwick, going to try it down the inside, almost side by side there. Dane Warren gives him the room, but Colin Warwick is unable to effect the overtake, and now it's about 5 lengths.
Oh, very close here as they come through the last few corners now. Dane Warren's pulling a little bit of a gap. Just under 0.4 of a second here, but anything can happen. Look out for some very late lunges in this corner coming up right now. Colin Warwick having a look on the inside, nothing doing. He's just too far back. Dane Warren may have the jump he finally needs to get across the line and win this race as well. He may very well take a clean sweep. It's the final lap, the final straight. The gap is 0.7 of a second. I don't think there's much that Colin Warwick can do now. So it's just a matter of waiting to see what happens. We come around the final kink of the corner. Dane Warren is going across the line sideways once again. Almost! He very nearly threw that away in the showmanship of the last lap, but he's done it. Dane Warren wins race 2. Colin Warwick right behind him. Oh, that was close for second position there. We've got Kurt Stenberg finishing in 3rd. Xeris crosses the line in 4th ahead of Resist, with Brenton Foley bringing them up in 6th. Nether drops back to 7th position, and the next runner on track will be Desamaj in P8. He's got a little bit to go, but what a finish that was. Oh, Dane Warren very nearly threw that away at the last minute, didn't he, Stairs?
Yeah, but I think Colin Warwick was doing a celebration in the same exact style. It maybe cost him a couple of lengths at the end of that race, but I don't think it would have been enough. Dane Warren was essentially home and hosed by that point, and well done to him. He's got 2 and 2, and he is the inaugural winner of the Apex Rear Wing Clippity Clop 100. He goes from strength to strength, Dane Warren. He's won 3 out of the 4 Automobilista Supercars Championship races so far, and 2 of the Apex Rear Wing races. That basically means that of all the races that I've commentated this year, Dane Warren has won all but one of them.
He's been going excellently well, hasn't he? Dane Warren clean sweeps the Clippity Clop 100. It's a fantastic result from him. And we've got Tyrrell crossing the line in 9th, and that is all our runners finishing the race as Dane Warren paces around the circuit on his victory lap to wave hello to the fans and thank them for their support. Fantastic racing for the inaugural Clippity Clop 100 stairs.
Absolutely. It's a window into a world that we didn't expect to really know much about, and we've learned a little bit tonight, and I hope you have too.
I like to think I remember at least 3 of these phrases from the sheet that I'm looking at the moment, and they will come in very handy for my day-to-day life. I'm going to see if I can use pig root as often as I possibly can. And
make sure you explain the meaning.
I might. If I'm in the mood for giving context, I will, but I feel like it's not always necessary.
No, of course not. We've been joined now by a couple of our podium sitters, so we'll throw the floor open. Congratulations to Dane Warren, 2 from 2, and in both races you had to work your way back up from the back of the grid and get the lead of the race in the dying stages, so well done.
Yeah, thanks lads. Kind of similar story to the first one, I suppose. The horse wasn't really cooperating for the first half, but it came good for the second half for sure. We had a really good pace.
And we saw you had a little bit of an issue on the first corner, but that is to be expected sometimes with these reverse grid races. You certainly didn't have too much trouble in the back end of the race.
No, turn 1, there was a bust up of a couple of other horses, and mine decided to do a couple of backflips or something. So that was a bit interesting, but it was good fun. Once again, Thomas McMillan can't finish a race, so a bit disappointing.
Fair enough. Highlight of the night?
Absolutely, it is. Can't
Thomas
finish an
McMillan.
ASC, can't finish on a horse. And what's next?
And not here to defend himself. Already
Exactly.
has his horse being, I believe, trucked off to the glue factory. Congratulations once again, Dane Warren.
Yep. Cheers, lads.
And Colin Warwick, well, you came very close to winning that race, and you did say in your interview for race 1 that you were eyeing off number 1. Oh, so close tonight.
Yeah, it was quite interesting when Dane disappeared off the road, and I just thought I better ride this thing consistently and hope for the best. But yeah, he just had too much pace on the horse, so what can you do?
But certainly a very good night for yourself, 3rd and 2nd. If we were having 3 races tonight, you'd be right on course for a win in the next race, but unfortunately it's just the 2 tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm happy with it either way. It was good fun. Good to horse around with everyone. That was very good.
Very good. Well, hope you've got a good horse set up for when we inevitably do another one of these events, so we hope to see you back. When we do, I'm giving myself work here. I haven't actually planned a second of these events, but if people want to, then we will certainly do it again.
Oh, I'd be very keen. I'm sure the other guys will be too. That was a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming. And
No worries.
Kurt Stenberg, 3rd place. Bit of a quiet race from your perspective, I suppose. You were in the fight to start off with, but a bit lonely once Dane Warren got past you and the battle was taking place in front of you.
Yeah, mate. It was interesting at the start, but then, yeah, we didn't really have pace on the horse there. We were riding it as hard as we could. We were giving it a bit of a whip, but it just wouldn't go. So, fortunately, we had to settle for a bit of a quiet 3rd there.
There you go. Highlight of the night for yourself, Kurt?
Good question. There's many highlights. Probably seeing a hot horse roll over. It's probably the best thing that I've seen all night, and rolling a horse myself.
Yeah, we didn't think that was possible. They seem to be pretty stable. Stable, get it?
Oh boy.
But you did manage to see a rollover there. So how do you think that happened?
Just take the curb, and apparently they roll, and your head goes through the ground. So bit of a headache for the jockey, but it's all right. I'm sure he'll recover, and I'm sure the horse is fitting in at the glue factory.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for joining us in this inaugural event. We appreciate. We threw out the invite, and you guys obliged. And I believe Kurt, you were the one who converted this mod from R Factor, if I'm not wrong. So thanks for doing that for us.
No worries. Yeah, I did it for a laugh because it's the funniest mod that I think I've ever seen in anything. So, and yeah, it lived up to it. It's good to finally actually get a race in it.
Here, here. Matt, your thoughts, closing thoughts for the night?
Well, I have to agree in that watching a horse roll over is one of the most incredible things I can see. I can probably check off my list and say I now have officially seen everything. But I'm really looking forward to seeing more of this horse racing in the future. If there's more Clippity Clop events in the coming time, I'll be very, very keen to commentate on them. And of course, once Apex Rewing gets back underway, I'd love to get back in the booth as well for those alongside your stairs, because we always have great fun, don't we, mate?
Absolutely, we do. And there has been a bit of a hiatus since our last series, but rest assured the plans are well underway for our next series, Season 9 of Apex Rear Wing, so do stay tuned. More details on that one coming very shortly, but until then, that's about all the time we've got for tonight's stream. Thanks once again for joining us, Matty. Hope you're staying safe amid this forced isolation.
Same goes to you, Stairs. Hope you stay safe, and everybody listening in as well. Take care of yourselves and take care of one another, and it's great to have your company as always.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.